The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the Upmarket studio at Gasworks in beautiful San Buenaventura, California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media. Mark Corcoran, COO.
Good morning.
Another co-founder here for the for the new year.
Yeah, first one of the year.
I feel
excited
like
for this one.
New year, same me. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't change. So I'm just here. And also unchanged is Chelsea Froelich is still producing this podcast.
That's correct.
And she's sitting in today.
I am
because we're
here.
going to talk some Upmarket business stuff. But I think let's address something really right off the top is we've had a lot of people reaching out to us about the fires that have been devastating Altadena and Malibu and Palisades, and we are sufficiently north of the fire, so we have not in Ventura County where we are have not really been affected. Although I think it's still been a very traumatic last week or two.
Yeah, it's been
here
rough,
for everyone, and because we had the Thomas fire 6 years ago, and I know we were all here for that, and that was at the time the largest wildfire in California history.
And the year after that, the Woolsey fire came through, and it was just like we felt like we were getting surrounded and bombarded.
Yeah, and so it's definitely been on edge, and the winds and everything else, and then obviously just the unimaginable losses that are happening just 50 miles away. So thank you everyone for reaching out. We're okay, but the psychic wounds are probably going to last for a while. And then too, and I think it will, and I hope this isn't perverse, but I do think it's going to affect the real estate market in our communities as well, because there's going to be a ton of people. I mean, there was already not enough housing.
Yeah.
So
There's tens of thousands of homes lost. So all these people need to live somewhere, right?
Yeah. So, anyway, so fun.
Yeah.
But but for this, we don't want to talk about sad stuff the whole time. We wanted to kind of go over, and these aren't New Year's resolutions, but we have our goals for 2025. And now we're a couple weeks in, and our last episode of the year was our SWOT analysis, our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this kind of ties into that, because I think that brought up some things that we wanted to work on, or that kind of, like, we want to make sure that we don't just, it's not all talk, that we're not just like talking about the SWOT analysis. Now we need to make sure that we have plans in place to actually accomplish some of the things that we talked about.
Yeah, we look at the SWOT as like an analysis of what we've done that previous year, right? And then we look at opportunities from that, and then we turn those into action steps and plans for the new year. Yeah.
And what we didn't really talk about in the SWOT, because it's just not really part of it, is like, it just straight up revenue. And like how we did last year. And we, as the final numbers came in there at New Year's, we were just about 30% up in gross from 2023. I don't know, all my years are confused now. And I remember we had a meeting with our bookkeeper, Juliana, towards the end of the year. And she was just like, yeah, this is pretty good.
Right. And that was a good meeting, because we've had a few where we're like, we got to do better here and do this here. But that one felt really good.
And our profit was up like whatever, it was like 1,000% or something. Our profit.
It was crazy. Having just that additional revenue gives you that buffer, right? To like absorb so many more things.
Yeah. And our costs were definitely higher last year. We paid everyone more. We got this space. We threw a big party. I had some spa days that I charged to the to the corporate.
I wonder what that charge was.
But it was worth it. You know how hard I work. I need that time. And so somehow in my mind, growing at 30% for gross and 1,000% for profit is unsustainable, probably. But I kind of want to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, it feels aggressive, but it feels like maybe doable.
Well, we were just talking before the podcast, and what is our goal for revenue for 2025? And again, we don't like to talk specific numbers. I think percentages is better because every market is different, and it's and we're not trying to flex either, because ours, it's just so massive, the number.
People couldn't comprehend it.
It's like, are there enough zeros that people even know? But I was like, well, what if we just had like a 10% goal of growth? But then we kind of thought about it and it's like, hey, I don't know. That seems low.
I don't know. Is that
Aim
small
high.
thinking?
Aim high. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to aim high.
Yeah. What's aiming high then? 25%?
Yeah. I would say at least triple. So 30%. Aim
So
high.
30%.
Double down on the 30%.
Well,
Yeah.
and then we looked at it in how can we get there? And one is, which we didn't really talk about, I think, in the SWOT, and we haven't really spent much time thinking about, but is, raising prices. New year, new prices. And for us, for our basic photo package, we haven't moved it in like a year and a half. We adjusted our video price a little bit, but I think so basically our standard shoot, which is the most common one, of course, is the in between 1,000 and 2,000 square feet. And that for photos is $335 for us with a floor plan included. So we talked about bumping it.
And every time we do that bump, you're like, oh man, that's just like, it feels like you're pushing it all. That's the max we can go.
Yeah.
But it's, think back 5-6 years, like when we started.
Yeah.
199 or whatever, or 225. And now it's like,
yeah.
It was just, we're keeping up with the times, keeping up with inflation. And
yeah. Well, and so we were talking about even just going to 350.
Yeah.
And so if we go to 350 and we bump up each tier of our photos by $15, and then, maybe adjust our 3D, our Matterport prices, and maybe video is good where it is. We thought, well, that gets us to 4% growth, right? If we just have the same exact number of shoots, it gets us to 4% growth. And then,
we'll probably keep our packages the same, and we're always trying to push more packages.
Yeah.
But for just the basic photos, 4 to 5% bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's assuming that we have the same exact number of shoots, which I'm assuming that this year we're going to have more, because so much of our growth, our growth last year, I think was tied to, it was multiple facets, right? It was like, we had a bunch of new clients. We're just continually getting new clients from all our marketing. We're going to talk about marketing a bit in this pod, but, and then we had, just a better overall atmosphere in the marketplace.
Yeah. Better market conditions, more listings, more transactions. That helps a lot.
Because 2023 was like record lows and all that. And so, we were at kind of a low place. I think 2023, we ended kind of strong and we kind of saved ourselves a little bit, but then 2024 was just, it never really felt like it was gangbusters, but it just was pretty consistent all year.
Yeah, it just felt better. And I feel like with the market and interest rates kind of stabilizing, and there were just more people coming into the market.
Mm-hmm. So our growth, I think, could be attributed to, it's our marketing, but it's also just better conditions. And, our prices were higher than the year before.
And also, our client retention and increasing the average per spend and more videos per clients and things like that. So.
And then, but this year, I'm thinking it's going to be even stronger than last year. That's kind of if you're reading the tea leaves and kind of what I'm hearing, and we have the fires kind of maybe changing things, but again, the fires are not quite in our backyard. So it will affect us, but I think I was talking to a realtor last night and she was saying that she thought it was going to affect us big time, but I think she was looking at it through the prism of buyers.
That's
she felt
what
like
I was going to
be,
say. Like what you said earlier, there's going to be a lot of people looking for houses and they're going to come to Ventura County.
Yeah. So it's going to be harder for that agent's buyers to land a property. And so she was like, I don't know if that's going to be good for all of us agents. Cause especially if they're going to use LA agents and, so.
And especially, some of our clients work in the rental and property management space, and the rental market's just going to get so squeezed. It's just going to be brutal.
Yeah. They're already insane. So it's hard to imagine how they're not. And I know there's already like a bunch of memes on social media going around of like, or not memes, but just like, hey, the housing is tight in this county anyway. And there are still people displaced from the Thomas fire 6 years ago that are not in like permanent like housing. And it's like, please do not, just because an LA person can come and pay XYZ, still can you think about, long-time locals first? And like, I don't know.
I know. And just recently we had the mountain fire in Camarillo too, that was right in our backyard.
Right.
And there was a couple hundred homes lost there. Those people are displaced. So it's just like piling on top of it. It's just crazy.
And just not that much new housing being built. So I think if we just tweak our prices a little bit, and with the stronger market conditions and with just kind of continuing our marketing, I mean, I think that gets us easily to 10%.
Yeah.
Right there. And so then
without even trying really, right? Just kind of,
yeah.
That's just the basic step. And then we have all these additional steps that we're going to put on top.
Right. And so, and I think that 10% with just those elements is probably conservative, right? Assuming the market does go the way we think it's going to go. So, but how do we get to 30, right? Well, it's also branding. This other mythical side of our business. It's been a little mythical so far.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot on it, but not really got a lot of revenue from it. But it's new year. It's time to double down on that. And I think you can kind of see the ball starting to get rolling, right, Chelsea?
Yeah, it's such a funny thing. It's like it's hard to get the realtors to commit to that. They like the idea of rebranding themselves, but when it comes to them being in front of the camera, they never have enough time for that.
Yeah, it's not like a listing that has a deadline and a schedule, right?
Yeah,
this is yes, I want to do it. Yes, I'm committed to doing it, but actually putting a date on the calendar is more challenging.
Yeah, because they just want to, be in the business and sell the houses, but which shows when you see realtors with headshots that are like 5-6 years old, they just don't put in the effort. Yeah. So it's tricky to get them to commit to that.
So does that, from our point of view, maybe it just requires a bit more persistence or a bit more kind of poking and reminding, or it's just I'm not sure what we can do to kind of
you don't want to be too pushy, right? I don't know. I'm trying to navigate that.
Yeah,
I'm really trying to be, outside of the admin when I can. I'm trying to be creative and think of ways without just consistently emailing and badgering someone. How can we, and you can only post on social media so much, they see it all the time. They see branding and how important that is. And obviously it still doesn't get through to them. So it's that's why, I think more face-to-face time and conversation is going to be maybe the trick for us.
Yeah. And maybe there's what Mark just said kind of sparked a thought of listings have these deadlines and everything else has a deadline. Can we somehow make some deadlines? I mean, I know we just did, right? We just offered $100 off a branding package through the end of January, right? So it's kind of a sale, and that is an incentive, but
you have to kind of create some kind of scarcity around a deal or something that kind of motivates them to lock it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then even then, I don't know. It's so hard. And then without doing a bunch of shoots, then we don't have the content to put on social media.
Right.
So it's kind of it's a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah. And it's hard enough with the one-off agents, but a big kind of lead we have in the pipeline is a bigger team with 5 or 6 agents. And we've had something on the books, but then just trying to coordinate all those people, and then they get a listing appointment or they get sick, and you're just man, it's a bit of a nightmare to try to schedule.
Yeah. It's just convincing them to make it a priority. I mean, it really, and it's saying, hey, if you do this, you're going to make more money. I mean, I don't know, that lights a fire under people's asses.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the agents who've been around for a while, they stick with what works for them, and they're like, oh, I don't need that. I'm just getting by doing what I'm doing. I think the newer agents realize how important branding is and how important your first impression with people is. But a lot of people don't understand that. It's pretty amazing that more people don't get that.
Yeah. No, completely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel and it's once we get momentum with it, it's kind of like our core real estate products. It's we can kind of set a standard in the marketplace for what the branding looks like, and if certain key agents are doing it, and then it maybe can help to elevate and lift everyone up and get people motivated to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, if I go back to thinking about when I first started doing real estate photos, okay, you get a shoot every 2 weeks when you start, or I got one that first month. Okay. Right. So it's it's not like you just get in there and all of a sudden start, booking them at a super fast clip. So, we have to be patient with it. I mean, it can be a little frustrating, but it's all right. We're committed. I mean,
and we've kind of laid the groundwork and figured out, the packages, and we've kind of put the time in now. It's just a matter of it's not costing us anything to not shoot, but it's just an opportunity that we're trying to just kind of double down on.
So we don't have our other photographer on retainer or anything. So it's just, if they come up, you get paid. If they don't, she's doing other stuff. So, and then the other element is podcast. and further monetizing our podcast, including this one. I do think there's opportunity to grow this podcast and make more money from it. I mean, that's not something we usually talk about on here, but where it pays for itself now and it pays, but I think we can actually make some money. So we're figuring out ways to do that. And then our Real VC podcast, our Ventura County Real Estate podcast. In fact, I was supposed to have a meeting today with someone who's super hot to advertise on it, but it had to get pushed. So hopefully we'll have that next week. But I do, and I don't know what the ceiling is on that podcast in terms of just being in the local marketplace and how much we are going to be able to revenue we're going to be able to generate. But
it'll be interesting to see. Actually,
I think if we're doing that podcast weekly, I mean, I think we can get at least a couple grand a month out of it. At least.
Yeah. And it's like another thing where it's going to build momentum. Once we have one sponsor involved, then we can talk about, their involvement and who's working with us and who's hosting it and all that stuff.
Yeah. And our costs aren't that, huge on it, but if we could get it more to the $3,000 or $4,000 a month range, I mean, that'd be pretty, be happy with that. And then all of a sudden that's another $50,000 a year in revenue just from that. So
and doing that weekly is a time commitment.
It is, but I don't know, what else am I doing?
Yeah, that's
running payroll.
Good question. I don't know.
Coming up with big dumb ideas. Yeah. No, good. It is a good question.
No, but we have the space and we want to utilize it and kind of lean into it more, right? And
exactly,
it's like,
for sure.
For me, any revenue from that podcast is like kind of a bonus on top of what it's doing for us in the industry
100%.
and the marketplace.
Well, and that's part of it, right? So how do we so we have these goals for financial goals. Then I think it's actionable steps on how are we going to market ourselves so that we can achieve these goals, right? And one of the things I know we need to keep doing, and Mark and I just were doing it last night, is the in-person marketing at the networking events. And we went to the Ventura County Association installation dinner last night.
Out with the old board and with the new board. And it was,
Speaking of board.
Yeah. We may have been hiding in the corner drinking a little too much.
By the way, what is a sneaker ball?
It was a sneaker ball. It's where you wear formal clothes, but you wear sneakers instead of formal shoes.
Yeah.
How fun.
And everyone thought it was the best idea ever. We got to do this. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, yeah. It was so great.
Wow.
Many people had, and I didn't know they made them for adults, but light up sneakers.
I was going to say.
Wow.
I was expecting him to start healing across the floor at one point. I was like, wow, they're like wearing
there was at least
shoes.
5 or 6 people wearing, light up
sneaker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was
including the co-host of one of our podcasts, who is not Mark.
It was a well put together event. I mean, the food was atrocious, but the event itself was good. We had Nikki there; she shot it, and it was we're just shaking hands, and Reed and I just get to chat with all the realtors. And I love what you guys are doing, and you got the branding stuff going on, and you're just having conversations and just building relationships.
So I think just continuing to do that is going to be key, and then the other in-person thing we got to continue doing is just the broker presentations. I mean, and if that's proven fruitful for us, and we get it. 6 months later, that one agent finally gets a listing and they still remember the presentation from 6 months ago. So it's just good to have those in the pipeline. And at a certain point, you're like, well, we've done them at all the offices, but we're getting to the point now where it's almost we can start redoing them because they're always looking 100%. For content. And then we can we always have new stuff to talk about. We're doing our, the branding photos and have you seen, we're going to start offering iGuide, it's like, all that kind of stuff.
There's a million things. Yeah. And it's like, we have such good penetration in the market that we have some of the top agents in most of the big brokerages. So I feel like whenever we go to those places, like we're there to kind of sell ourselves, but then the agents are like, I've been using these guys. And it's just like, they kind of help us. And it's just like this, it's always a win-win for us.
Right. No, totally. So, in-person marketing, I think, is super key. And then, look, this is so serious. I took notes.
Oh, wow. Reed has notes. Look at that. Yeah. The other part, is continuing to do our broker tour meetings, our broker caravans.
Yes,
and
correct.
actually, co-hosting a really nice listing with one of our top agents that we've talked about a few times.
Okay, that is an actionable goal for this year is to co-host a broker open at someone's
at some
place.
Killer listing where every agent in town is going to show up on a Thursday morning.
Yeah. No,
we buy the donuts and the coffee and we just hang out.
Yeah, completely. And then it's just a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, because right now we just chase agents around from house to house. You end up seeing the same people in the same circuit. But if you're just stationary and people come to you, it's way better.
Well, and then then I think the other thing that we want to do is lean more into social media and try to put some of the stuff that we've really talked about, for years now, actually doing it. And I see the path, right? Like, Nikki's been doing so great with the social media stuff and kind of creating more influencery type content a little bit. And it's like, if we can just have her do that more, explicitly, like, hey, let's plan out these shoots and it's going on our account, not hers. And, or we can collab post with her, whatever, I'm happy to have her grow her personal page too. Where, and then doing more of the informational type videos. Like I know, Jen Lewick, who was on the Action Item Spectacular podcast, just sent us a video that she did, inspired, I think, by
Matthew Lesference,
Lecker Studios, of which he gave the action item, I think, and she did it, and it's like, okay, we got to do this. Was making a video of how to prep your home.
It's like a welcome video or something that your client can use at a listing presentation or give to them once they sign the agreement. Hey, this is how to, rather than just like, here's a PDF that no one's going to read. Here's an actual like informative, instructive video.
Right.
And it was well put together, and it was, there's different things we would do, obviously, but it's a fun idea.
It is. And it puts our faces out there. I mean, not mine, but, at least Nikki or you or, Chelsea, whoever wants to do it. I don't think Marco wants to do it, but
I feel like we can have I can be there doing a mat or flying the drone, and he can be doing video on the gimbal in the background, and Nikki can be the face or the presenter kind of thing, talking about it. Could work.
Yeah, that could be good. But doing more of those types of videos, right? And I know we did a couple years ago, we did it when we had our other little space, we were trying to do it, but it was kind of half-assed. And
it's a bit cringy now to look back on.
Yeah. But we have the studio space, we can use it. We're always at cool houses. So, I mean, we can always, figure out some content to shoot. And if we can have, Nikki, who's being so creative with that stuff, kind of be a bigger part of that, I think it's a win for everybody.
Yeah. And it's something we've known we want to do, but you and I are like, just like, we got to get on camera. But Nikki, like, put me on camera. Like, it's just like, let's like unleash her and let her do it.
I feel like if I could work more now that we know this about her, if I could work with her on a plan, an outline of these types of videos we want to create, I can even shoot that with her.
Right.
She can be on camera. I can have a plan laid out with her of things that we can just post weekly and then have those in our back pocket, those instructional videos.
Totally.
With her. And we can shoot those here, like you said. And I can go to listings with her and just get her.
Totally. And we have one in our hip pocket, actually over the holiday season. Our editor, Bethany Diedrich, came out on vacation and just and was here in Ventura for a few days and hung out. And, she and Nikki went and shot, inspired by, of course, Alex Coombs, who was, in one of the recent episodes, and she's putting herself in like property videos. And so we decided, well, let's be inspired by that and let's do one. And then Bethany and Nikki went kind of crazy. And we had
wild on one. Yeah.
And it was this cool house in Malibu that Robin Williams lived in when he was filming Mork and Mindy. And so they did a whole thing with kind of Robin Williams, characters and whatever. And it's really great. Unfortunately, that house is like right on the fire line, and it's just it's survived so far, and that's great. But it's just reading The Room of Southern California. It's not the video to put out right now.
No, so unfortunately, the timing just didn't work out on that one. Yeah.
And I mean, we can still put it out without question, but it's just going to be, I think, a couple more, 2 or 3 more weeks. It's because it's just, it's pretty brutal down here right now. I mean, people are just gutted, and maybe they need a little comedy, but we also don't want it to come off as, I don't know, in bad taste.
No. And it's just like, we know we haven't been up there since the fire, but like looking at the map, like the fire line's literally across the street. So I feel like part of that neighborhood is probably gone. So it's just we just got to tread a little lightly, but there will be a place for it, but fortunately it's just going to be a little more delayed, and,
say lovey.
Yeah. But seeing like the level of excitement that Nikki and Bethany got into that, and like it's just like another way to like kind of break up the monotony of the real estate shoots and give her a little more motivation to get into different things. And I think could be fun for her and great for us.
Yeah, and if we just use that as inspiration too, just to bring more creativity to the videos that we are producing for ourselves. And again, I'm talking right now about our own marketing, right? Not what we're putting into property videos. But I think we just need to be more aggressive on that. And then also, as part of that social media marketing, it is the Real VC podcast. And again, we can get revenue from that, but it's also huge marketing for us. And we are not leveraging enough of that as it is. I mean, we need to have more content about the podcast, more clips from the podcast that we're posting on our socials.
Yeah,
so that,
100%.
and especially if we can manage to do that podcast weekly, then it's like we have just constant content coming out.
And we're collabing with the host, collabing with the guests, and we're just like having a much bigger reach on social.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty clear that is that path is just like open to us. And I think it can be really, really effective. Yeah. It's kind of leveraging what we have already. And, we've built it, but we just haven't been taking advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's either further like kind of drilling down on like who's going to be in charge of posting that or creating that, or are we going to use like these AI editing tools to help us create more reels and just get content out there? And
no, we're not replacing you, Bethany. Don't worry. just for a little extra content on the side, maybe. But but yeah, and we touched on it I think in the SWOT episode of where, I'm kind of energized coming into this year. And as we all know, it's been a hard couple years personally for me. And now I feel like, I got my new single dad lifestyle. I'm kind of just getting into that. And what it does is like when all of a sudden you're not like in a marriage anymore and you only have your kid half time, man, I have a lot more time.
Yeah.
And a lot more mental space.
Right?
And it's more the headspace, I think, because between, elderly parents dying and, marriage kind of ending, it's like, it's a lot. And I'm
it's a ton.
a sensitive little soul.
You are a sensitive little dude.
Yeah. Sensitive giant person.
We just had our meeting with Jeff, our business advisor, and I think he said, "Reads back, baby, reads back." He was like all excited about it.
Love it.
Yeah. So I do think I can have a more active role in that than I think I would have had over the last couple of years, and hopefully have the time to also be accountable and keep these things going. Because again, it's easy to have these great ideas.
Yeah, we all know that they're great and amazing, and yes, let's do that.
Yeah, but the struggle that every real estate photographer has is how do you find the time to do it? Well, I'm not a real estate photographer anymore, so I should have the time to kind of like manage all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm still struggling with like shooting and balancing this and home life and family life and my hobbies, and like it's just like, man, there never is enough time in the day.
I know.
That's how I feel with the admin trying to do the creative stuff. Like everything you just said, I'm like, I feel energized, and like the idea of doing this with Nikki and laying out all this creative content is so exciting to me. And then I get so excited about it, and then the admin stuff comes through and I get so sidetracked. I'm like, this is all stuff I should be doing, and I want to, and then I just,
we want you to.
I veer this way.
That's part of our next kind of action.
Well, and I think we're going to talk about that in the second half of the show, I think. And so and then just to kind of put a cap on this in terms of the marketing, what we're going to do is also Chelsea, you just talked about it right before we started recording, but it's parties.
Mm-hmm. Client appreciations.
Yeah. Posting them at our studio, right?
Parties, and we don't have to go as big as we did last time.
Well, no, of course not.
But just more one-on-ones and, small group gatherings with our top clients or, our teams so that they know what we're up to and we stay relevant to them and we can talk to them one-on-one about branding. And that communication tool is going to be our biggest asset, I think, when it comes to that side of our business. So
it could almost be like an upmarket happy hour kind of thing, like even more like a once a month kind of thing, or we could figure out who to invite, or I don't know, we could figure out.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, a market happy hour. Well, and I do think, and we should probably put it on the books already, is we should have another big party next fall.
Yeah.
The
timing of that was good.
Client appreciation party. Yeah. Like sometime in September.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have the indoor outdoor space and it was a nice warm night and it was just like the light was good. It was just like, you don't want to get too close into the holidays. Like it felt like
I mean, we could do it maybe more in October where we could have, because it's so nice at night here,
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that we want to set that in a date in the calendar now. So we can kind of work backwards from that. And
now we have more of a handle on it. So we can really, put it together correctly.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. People are still talking about how they missed our big party.
Oh.
I want to come see your space. Like
losers.
And that's, how long is that? 4 or 5 months back already. So people were still kind of buzzing about it and they want to come do it again.
Yeah,
for sure. And then one little final point on, as we're marketing and especially with our social content and everything else is I also want to make sure that we are looking at what is the Upmarket brand and how has that evolved? I mean, because I think we had like kind of our brand vision or we had our branding, whatever. I think we wrote down what our
like
thing
a
is
mission
at some
statement
point.
kind of thing or what we are.
And I think it's worth revisiting that and seeing how do people see us? How do we want to be seen?
Yeah,
and then too,
100%.
because when all of a sudden you're bringing in Nikki, who has a very different vibe than you and I do. And if she's doing more out there, which I think is great, is all of that on brand for our company? And I think it is, but I think I think we want to like kind of drill down into what exactly our brand is. And I think, it's reliable, but I think the more fun we can have, the better. And I think we have, maybe in the past come off a little too seriously, maybe
a little dry or
just a little dry,
know.
right? Because I don't take myself or that stuff very seriously in a way. So, but yeah, having that vision in your head every time you're creating a piece or putting an email or putting a post out, like, is this on brand or is this consistent? I guess you want to have some kind of consistent messaging, right? Yeah, for sure. I'm consistent wanting to take a break. I know that. So let's do that. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll have our social media sidebar. We're going to talk more about our goals for 2025. And then, man, I think this is kind of full of it, but we're going to have some action items.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. At the end of this baby. Mark Chelsea, what would 2025 be without Aereo? I think it would be a sad hellscape.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And Aereo is always there for us. They're always improved. I mean, you were just saying, they're making little tweaks. They just changed the upload module and everything else. The whole of Aereo works great, but they're always trying to make it better. And it's always, of course, one of our clients' favorite things about working with us is the ease of their experience using the Aereo backend, which is, white labeled and it's our backend, but they don't know it's Aereo, but they love it.
They love us for it.
They do. God, it's just so much love. And, they love having access to all their photos, being able to pay, being able to schedule, all the stuff that we can do through Aereo. I would highly encourage anyone who hasn't to check out Aereo. It's aereo.com, ARYEO.com. Use the code Upmarket. Don't slash Upmarket. Jeez, why would you do that? Use the code Upmarket. You're going to get 15 free bonus listings. I thought 2023 was the year of the floor plan, and I was wrong. And then I thought 2024 was the year of the floor plan. Wrong again. Because you can feel it in the air. Floor plans are it's one of the biggest topics out there today is floor plans.
They're just out there, man.
So is there anything more 2025 than a second floor plan? I don't think so.
With GLA? Come on.
Oh, with GLA. I was like, whoa. Come on. That's getting crazy. And you can create that damn thing in like 5 minutes. You just walk around that house, whip out that iPhone and whew, you got it. And then you get it back instantly, which you can upsell your clients on it. And look, not only is it fast, it's accurate. They're just so accurate. I'm in love with their accuracy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. There's so many things to love. And look, and it's 2025 and it's, new year. And I think a new second floor, because they're always making that thing better too.
Good team behind it. Yeah, they're working AI into it. They're doing all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah,
with
that's right. That's right. So really, I implore you, check it out. The fastest delivery times of any floor plan service, and it is secondfloorapp.com and /Upmarket, and you're going to get a free month of service. And that Second Floor app, all spelled out, secondfloorapp.com /Upmarket. Social media sidebar time. We are Upmarket Pod, of course, across all social media, and then upmarket.media on Instagram and anywhere else if you want to follow along with all the crazy shenanigans we're doing there and going to be doing there, apparently, according to this podcast. Chelsea, of course, feeding beautiful on Instagram. You get her food content and sexy husband content.
The bearded man. Yeah. I'm actually looking, I have a little news. I'm looking to revamp my Instagram. I have an Instagram for like my stock photo stuff that I like barely touch.
Oh, I didn't even know you had
But
that.
I'm going to like just kind of rebrand it as more of a personal kind of page, tie it in with my Facebook and like start using it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I find I start using Upmarket Media as more. I'm on there a lot, and like my wife's messaging me on there, and I'm just like I feel like I need to separate. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Don't look at the photos.
I see them pop up.
Sorry,
I'm like,
Chelsea.
don't read that.
But I feel like I need some separation from my work Instagram.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm Tall Reed Fish.
You are
on Instagram, and I don't really use it that much.
So what's your handle?
Well, right now it's Ventura stock, but it's
Okay.
going to change. Yeah.
What's it going to be?
What's it going to be?
That's the question. I don't know. We need to go through a little process like you did and figure it out.
Oh, Shark Week Mark.
Oh, I kind of like that.
We'll see. We'll come up with something.
Okay. All right. Well, that is some breaking news.
Yeah.
My
Look out,
God.
people.
Wow. Well, we'll announce it on here as soon as you get it. I guess follow Ventura
exciting.
stock, and then you'll be the first to know when this
How
big
exciting
change
is that?
big change
Mark's
occurs.
breaking out of his shell.
Well, and so I think, we did already kind of talk a lot about social media, but again, I just think we gotta like this year just double down, triple down on being on social. And I think even for this podcast too, it was like so. It was, when Nikki did the takeover when we were in Las Vegas, it was like, oh, great, there's actually content coming out on this.
It's like, this is fun.
Because if it's left up to me, I'm not good at social media.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's just not going to get done. So we got to create more content for this podcast as well. And I don't know what that'll be yet, but
Yeah, we have a few things, a few ideas.
We do.
Marinating.
We do. And, just to talk, I guess it's not social media, but we can talk a little bit about the plans for the podcast this year is like, we are, now that we're out of the holidays, we're trying to get back hopefully in February, starting to release weekly again and kind of partnering with some new folks, and we have a really interesting, fun series in the works that would be a kind of an ongoing, once a month podcast in the Upmarket Pod brand, but on a kind of a different format than what we've been doing, and I'm really excited about that one. And then
That's going to be really fun, I think, for us and super informative for listeners and just like give a lot of value back.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we'll have our classic Upmarket episodes like this one. and then starting in April again, I mean, we haven't formalized it or finalized it yet, but I think we are going to partner again with PMRE, and we will have the Road to PMRE series. Starting
Dates
back
for
in
PMRE
April.
are out. Like it's happening.
I know. It seems like, weren't we just talking about all this? But it's April will be here before we know it, though. I think I'm really ready for like a fun year with this podcast, and I'm, again, walking in definitely re-energized and definitely with a lot more mental space and time to devote to it. So
Look out, people. Good things are coming.
Yeah. I
Here we
hope so.
come.
All right. And the better things that are coming even is the second half of the show, which is going to be fucking gangbusters, and then boom, action items. Come on.
Let's get into it.
Bing. All right, Mark, Chelsea, let's talk some more 2025 actionable goals here. And one of the things that came up in the SWOT was frustration that we've had with our client onboarding process. And so we want to address that.
Yeah.
So
we want a proper system in place, right? Because I feel like we get a lot of the same questions. We get a lot of the same kind of pain points. And it's like, we kind of have to recognize that if like multiple people are asking the same question multiple times, and it's, you know, it's not our not so smart clients. It's us and our lack of systems and a process. So,
well, it's also,
we want to blame it on them, but we have to take some responsibility for it.
I hate taking responsibility.
Yeah. Because, you know, especially for new clients, and that's part of what onboarding is like basically training new clients when they book an order, like what to expect. Right. So they know when we show up that this is how we want the house. So we know this is how we collect payment. They know when, you know, the photos are going to be delivered.
Yeah.
Right. So how are we going to do that? I mean, obviously, you know, how to set up the house, we will have that video that, you know, we're going to produce anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know,
sure. This week.
Yeah. Well, not this week. It's Friday.
But so, I mean, I guess in my, like an optimal thing in my head, like we get a call from a client, they want to book a shoot. That shoot is in like 4 or 5 days. So we have this window from when they book to when the actual shoot happens to like start dripping them information. So it's like when they get entered into Aereo as a customer, then that will trigger into our CRM and that will start a drip email campaign that essentially says, hey, welcome to Upmarket Media. And maybe they just called and booked a floor plan or photos and they don't know that we offer video in Matterport. So we kind of lay out, hey, these are all our services. These are the ways we can help you. And then the next email is like, oh, what to expect on the day of the shoot.
And is that a video or is that?
I was actually thinking a video might be good.
Yeah.
Now that I saw the one on Zillow, I was thinking something like that. That kind of goes through everything. So it's just sent out once and one and done.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like maybe initially an email is easy to create or have a template that can be turned into a video.
Right.
But yeah, the video is kind of the ultimate like solution to that, I think.
Yeah. And maybe you want to have like text and a video because if someone sends me a video, I'm not usually inclined to watch it. I'm like, oh God, I'm going to watch this. I know it's 57 seconds long. I don't have time for that. You know,
maybe, the email laying out like, you know, watch the video for further instruction.
Or it could
what's
even
to
be
come.
like a page on we could have an onboarding section on our website where we just send them
a link.
Here's the link. And it has the video and the text next to it or whatever embedded in our website. So we're not sending them to YouTube.
I mean, we could do
or whatever.
both. That couldn't hurt, right? Just have that living on our website and then send them that email as a follow-up.
Yeah, no, it can't hurt because, I mean, that's the thing is you have to, because part of it is like, okay, who's going to read the onboarding? Who's going to watch the video? And it's like, if you can give them multiple opportunities to, and then two, if we have a page on the website, then if Chelsea is getting a bunch of questions, and by the way, you know, if you just go, you don't need to search through your email. It's all right here on the website.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just going to send you the link right now. And then you can have it.
And then it's kind of a self-paced thing because maybe they book and the shoot's in like 2 days and like the drip email's over 4 days. That's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So
well, a lot of times it's the next day.
Yeah.
You know,
send them out the links real quick, or you get a for sale by owner who has no clue what they're doing. And you know, you just have something. So we're not constantly like regurgitating the same information. It's just out there in a really nice format.
Right. Oh, one idea, and I just wanted to memorialize it because I've been meaning to talk about it with you guys is like, I feel like we get a lot of Slack messages from Chelsea of like, what's the travel fee for this place? What's the travel fee for that place? And I think we just need to make a map, even if we're just using it internally, of what the travel fees are.
Just internally, but that would be good.
So that we don't have to continually have that conversation because then I have to think about it and I don't like thinking. No, it's totally fine.
I just know it varies for, different
and I got to go map it up. It's an hour and 15-minute drive both ways. And it's just like, you're like, maybe this sounds good. But just having a map with it.
Because I think we can just make a Google map or something that we use internally that's just shaded for, I
mean, that could live on the website too.
Yeah.
It could be just a link that we only share. It doesn't even have to be a...
Yeah. It's just kind of identifying those pain points and just making a system to eliminate it, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't think we need to spend much time on that, but I wanted to mention it. And then, our other goal is, I think, hiring new staff and then also of like figuring out exactly the staff we need to hire. Right. And I think it's pretty clear we need one more photographer. We're fine right now, but it's January. So it's, April. I don't know how fine we'll be.
Yeah. And it's like, even now it's like we had an incident like a week ago where Marco called in sick the morning of, and it was just Nikki and I, and Chelsea happened to be out, and I was suddenly like, I was scrambling to try to shoot and shuffle stuff, and you had to help on
we
vacation.
were both out of town. Sorry,
It's
Mark.
like we still have that same pain point of like having our amazing team, but they're just small enough when one or two of them drop out, like, man, you really feel it. So just having that built-in buffer, even for now, and just having, I think we still kind of want that floater person like we had last year. It didn't quite pan out, but
Yeah, and we have just enough days between Nikki and Marco that they're unavailable that we do. That one person would help a lot.
Yeah. And also, and to lessen the load on Mark too, right? Because I do think, we still want to have a goal of you shooting less, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see it in your eyes. Okay. Yeah. Let's hire someone, Chelsea, right now.
The good news, though, is I'm getting more and more people asking for Nikki and Marco.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Specifically.
Yeah.
So
pretty great, right?
That's nice.
I'm excited about that. It's been a slow build, but it's happening. Yeah.
Very slow build.
And that's, kudos to us for hiring and finding great people that people want to work with and training them well. And
and it's just like, but we got to find another one.
Yeah. And it's, that's why we want to do it now, because it is a training. Some people just take longer to train, and then it's more equipment, and it's just a process. You don't hire and just throw them out there.
Chelsea, maybe throw the ads up
again
today. And we have and then we, see what comes in. I think we've been trying a little bit to, hey, have a friend of a friend, or, kind of putting
we have
feelers
a couple
out,
local leads,
a couple leads, but that haven't, nothing's happened with yet. So I think we got to, make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's put the post back up and just see, just never know. We've had really good luck sometimes, and other times it's just
we got lucky with Marco, so who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, totally.
It'll happen again.
And Nikki. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. But then that one's pretty clear and easy, but then it's also this idea of, are we having more admin help? And, because Chelsea was just expressing frustration of like, oh, I have these great ideas. Oh, let's map out a content schedule with Nikki. But then I have stupid clients calling me all day and, doing admin. And I have to, you just get pulled in so many different directions, as we all know in this business. And I certainly don't want to take it on.
Right. You don't? I'm kidding.
It's so funny. Like, I really don't. I'm almost as burned out on admin as I was on shooting, because on that day last week you were gone 2 days or whenever it was, you were out 2 days, and so Mark was out shooting. I was on quote unquote vacation, but I was visiting family, whatever, so I can just do whatever. But man, I almost lost it on a couple people already, because I had one person bitching at me about copyright and how we reuse community photos with different agents.
From a mobile home park.
Yeah, from a mobile home park.
And she was
just, just like, well, I paid for that, and then you're giving it to her. Well, it's like, yeah, we actually shot it in 2020.
Yeah. And so we're giving it to you. Actually.
Yeah, and it was actually just a free add-on. Many photographers charge for that, and but and then it was the other one of like, well, there's not a wide photo of the yard, and it was just like, okay, I can't do it. Like, even those things, I cannot deal with this.
Yeah.
I cannot deal with it. It's just
constantly putting out fires, some big, some small. That's just kind of the admin role, right?
And so I don't think having me do more admin is really good. I don't know. I guess I just podcast. That's all I do.
I feel like you're the backup in a pinch guy that we have.
And I'm happy to do it. It's just like, I do find myself though having to take a breath.
Yeah, there's a lot of keeping your cool involved being an admin.
Yeah.
Just stay centered.
Yeah. I'll just vent to you guys. You see it when someone's driving me nuts. I'm like, why is this person being so annoying? But I'm totally nice to them.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and everyone loves you for it. But yeah, it's figuring out that puzzle is still a bit challenging for us. Do we hire another person as qualified as you, or do we hire someone who's more of a VA person who can do more menial stuff? Or it's just a lot of that client facing stuff I feel like we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
A sophisticated person at a good rate to handle that kind of stuff.
And I kind of, and maybe the path, and two, we've talked about having admin support on the weekends would be great too. But if anyone who's on the weekends is still going to have to know everything, and we've kind of trained the clients where we don't get a ton of stuff on the weekends actually. And it's just enough to be annoying to Mark and I, but it's not enough.
Exactly.
There's not enough for someone to do, for someone to
and that's kind of what we don't
days.
want to have someone on call for 8 hours on a Saturday to get 2 or 3 emails and a text.
Yeah.
So how do you have someone on call that makes sense for them and for us?
Right.
I'm not really
or
sure.
are there
yet.
other things that they can be doing? It just seems like a tough nut to crack. And I think one of the things that we should do, Chelsea, is really, and I know you've done this before, but really dive into what are the things that you actually do on a daily basis, right? And if there's anything that can be automated or using AI to help, or that could be pawned off to a VA, then I think those are great candidates right now to free up more of your time. And the issue with that, of course, though, is that it still doesn't mitigate the phone calls and texts from annoying clients, right? And that's the thing that pulls us out of stuff so easily.
Like there's a lot of repetitive stuff you do at the end of the day, like sending a list to the editors, creating listings and scenarios, tying in appointments to orders and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That still requires a high level of understanding of the business and the nuances of certain clients. And
just sending the list to the editors is like, I can send that easily because I know exactly how I need to lay it out for them to
needs this
understand.
branding and this kind of photo and this screen.
But I mean, that's all, I can teach that to someone. But I feel like that would have to be someone who kind of understands or is in our area to grasp
well, it
that.
has to be in our time zone because it's a certain time of day that it gets sent or whatever. So it's figuring out.
It doesn't have to be in our time zone.
Oh, no. They just have to be working during our hours, which is fine. I guess. So that is a bit of a tough one, but there's ways forward, I think, and ways to figure it out rather than just like hiring a completely new admin and doubling our admin costs.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, because you end up working more hours than anybody. So you were kind of the most expensive person for us, and to all of a sudden have another one like that, it's like, oh, there goes our 30%. But
maybe it's like, me doing the first half of the day and then someone taking over the second half, where I get the majority of the client facing stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
So that all they have to do is answer the phone if a call comes in past a certain time or.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it does seem like it's busy right at the beginning of the day and it's busy right at the end of the day often.
Yeah, exactly.
And and it can be any time, but it does seem like there's a lot of stuff that happens starting at 4:30. The time none of us want to be doing anything.
Right. And I'm like, wait, is Chelsea still on the clock? Oh crap, she just finished.
So I think the actionable goal here is to, what is the goal? I mean, to round out our staff, to make sure that we're covered for the busy season, and that Chelsea can be doing more of the stuff we've been talking about, doing the branding, doing the social media, more of the social media. So,
and that's an added expense to us, but there's a huge benefit on the backside of freeing up Chelsea's time and having her more happy and creating more content.
Right. Well, and especially if we're doing, VA for a lot of these tasks, then it doesn't add that much to subtract from the bottom line. I mean, hopefully it increases because, Chelsea doing this stuff hopefully makes us more money. I mean, that's the whole idea, right? So
I feel like we need to have a meeting just for that topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
It's as we're sitting here talking about, there's so many thoughts coming up.
Right.
But I'm just, trying
write them all down.
to process or make sense of it. Yeah, it definitely need to be a meeting on its own. Right.
Well, and so then, and that goes again, further simplifying things. I mean, and we want to look at AI and how we can use it on the back end. I think, we took the webinar that Berkowitz and Jenna Gajdusek did a month ago or something. And I think we learned a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, we got the main takeaway there, which was creating the custom GPTs,
Yeah, it's not just putting in a prompt into ChatGPT and writing a newsletter.
Training them and really getting them clear on your brand voice so that you can just instantly create any kind of content or, writing anything you need through the system.
Yeah,
because
so we
it
can have a
knows
real VC
exactly
podcast
what you need.
GPT that just caters to that.
Yeah.
We can have our branding GPT. We
and you can have
Upmarket
separate
GPT.
tabs for each of them, so that when you go into that tab, it knows that it's for the podcast or for the branding or for the emails.
Yeah. And you've already found it's been super beneficial and more efficient to kind of like come up with stuff from scratch.
Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect. You still have to tweak it. You still have to, work with it, but it does help a lot. I'm still getting used to using it because I just wasn't prone to using that. So I'm used to like creating an email from scratch with my own, but knowing that I can do that has helped a lot. And I think the more I get used to it, the more it will be helpful.
Right. Well, and even right now, when we ever have a meeting now, we're recording it with the Plod, the PLAUD, with the AI recorder. And then you can have the summary notes of your meeting, which is super, super helpful. I mean, that's what we did, basically with our SWOT analysis, to like spit out like, okay, all the stuff we talked about, and like, what are the, and we're just reviewing that before this podcast. So it's really, that's to me, that's been the one that's been like, oh, whoa. It's like having the being able to basically someone just take amazing notes that, or 95% there, so it doesn't understand sarcasm.
That's actually really funny reading some of the stuff.
But it includes it, which is the funny part.
Well, right. It'll include it. I had started one meeting with like, oh, so-and-so realtor is so great. And then
Reed loves
like,
working with
such and such.
one loves working with such and such realtor. It's like, okay, no. But, there's small little quibbles, but it's very easy to go back in and just like, tweak a few things if needed.
Yeah,
So,
but if you have a 45-minute to an hour meeting, there's no way you're going to remember all that stuff. So to actually have the document, to have it just succinct, it creates the action items. It's super cool.
yeah. Speaking of action items, Mark, I think it is
Oh,
time.
we made it to action
for
items.
our action
Wow.
items. And today our action items are sponsored by Pixel CRM, PIXL CRM.com. Pixel CRM, your all-in-one CRM made by a real estate photographer for real estate photographers. And so go to pixelcrm.com/upmarket and you're going to get a free month to try it out. So Mark, I think you got a good one. Come on.
I have a
Give
good
the
one.
first one for 2025.
All right, here we
It
go.
should be Mark.
So it's a little boring, a little dry, but it's a very
great.
necessary
Okay, great.
thing because I just, Liz, our business partner, just put me onto this.
Among other things.
Right. Employment law seminar that was run by the local kind of chamber and the SCORE and the city of Ventura. They put on these events for business owners. And this is all about the 2025 updates for employment law.
Right.
So I'm like, well, we have employees. We should probably know what the updates are. So I went, and a lot of it was dry and a lot of it was kind of a sales pitch from a lawyer. But a lot of it, too, was like take-home stuff for us as employers to just remember that having employees, there's a lot of compliance and guidelines that you have to kind of know. And the guy presenting basically said, pleading, ignorance is not a defense. And just because you can't say, oh, I didn't know about that. Like, it's up to us to know about that stuff. So it's keeping compliant with employment law. And that's why, a lot of people veer away from having employees because it is more complicated. But we are,
we have employees
in a state and we have an employee. So let's do it right.
Yeah.
So a couple things that they mentioned were having posters, like compliance posters up.
Right.
And
Because
now that
we have a space now.
A physical space. Before you can't have people put them up in their home office. So we have to have compliance posters for discrimination and all these different things that we have to comply with. And then the other one was just, making sure people are getting paid time off and sick leave and all of that stuff. And luckily for us, we're using Gusto for our payroll thing, and that kind of handles a lot of that. But the other big one was the handbook and tweaking our handbook. And if you think you have a handbook and it's one and done, then it's every year there's like over 100 new laws that come out for employment stuff, especially in California. So you have to update your handbook and make sure you're compliant. Otherwise, it's an antiquated thing that is just going to get tossed out and not be useful if ever a case comes against you. So
Right.
it's kind of scary, big picture stuff, but it's stuff that you really have to be careful with and jump through all the hoops.
Well, and the thing I would say to that is, Nikki, Marco, if you're listening, please don't sue us. Oh, and Chelsea, you either. But no,
promise.
yeah, having those posters and it really is just about being in compliance. I mean, it's dry and it sucks, but because you can also pay someone to make a handbook for you. I mean, you don't have to do it yourself.
Yeah. And that was kind of the sales pitch was, well, yeah, this is really complicated. We'll do it for you.
Right,
and
right,
it's,
of course.
you don't just want to get a template off the internet and figure it out.
Right,
So do it properly and update it.
Good one, Mark.
So yeah. Not sexy, but it's out there.
Chelsea, you got one?
Not yet.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
All right, now we need
I'm
to give
working
one.
on it.
Give
Okay,
one to
well, I guess
Chelsea.
so I will. I'll go. I'll do this. Mine is to set some goals. It's 2025, and I know as we're listening to this, when this comes out, we're already like almost a month into the new year. But mine were a little delayed this year, but I think we're still in the off season. It's still a time where you can really set some concrete goals and set some action steps. I mean, we've done so many damn action items on this podcast. I mean, there's got to be one somewhere that resonates with you and that you can actually put into action and make that a part of your 2025 goals. And we've already go back and listen to the Action Item Spectacular episode. We've already had a few people are like, "Oh, I did this, I did that," that were action items. So it's been pretty cool. But
Yeah, that was a really fun, informative one. So.
yeah, so let's just have some goals in 2025. And one of my goals, personal goals, is to have more fun. Yeah,
Fun is good.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
And so I want to bring fun to the podcast too. So we want to, I'm gonna goal. I got some goals.
Right
I
on.
like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought of one.
Oh,
It's
good.
not too
Okay,
exciting.
yeah. So this just goes to show how much thought is put into all our action items.
So just go over your services and see if you can add one new thing to your list to offer to your clients.
Oh, all right.
Whether it's, creating a marketing flyer, if that's what you want to do, or some kind of special social media post for them, any little thing, just one new product that you can offer to your clients for the new year to bring up your revenue.
Boom.
Nice. Expand your
Even
services.
if it's just a $25 add-on of something you can offer, do it. See if there's anything that you can provide.
Cool. Nice.
Hey, thanks you two. Fun
Yeah.
episode.
Fun. It's going to be a good year. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think so. And, thanks to all our listeners, of course, for listening and sticking with us through the past few years and coming into this new year with us. And our commitment and our goal for this podcast for you all is to bring as much value to you as possible this year and some fun. And, we're just the upmarket.
We're going to unleash some fun stuff pretty soon. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. Please stick with us in 2025 and have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.